I love tools. Tools are hard. It's a complicated subject. There's a lot of choice. There are a ton of brands. There are many, many places to buy them. Before you either start your tool journey or you start your upgrade, let me show you what I think you might want to know. I'm going to try to save you some pain, save you some time, save you a bunch of money, and get you to the end goal. And it doesn't have to break the bank to get there. Growing up, I thought it was really simple. I would eventually make it in life. I'd have an Amex Platinum, maybe Amex Gold. I didn't think I'd ever get an Amex Platinum. I'd have an Amex Gold, and I would go onto a tool truck. That was my dream. The tool truck would come to my personal garage in my house. I'd go on the tool truck, and the tool truck guy would take me through the beautiful path of picking tools. I thought it would be easy, but it's not. It's a big problem. It's very, very difficult. I actually went on that tool truck and was extremely disappointed. And just to confirm it, I went on that tool truck a few years ago with my Amex Platinum, and I bought one of everything, including a toolbox. And it was such a letdown. And so I don't want you to make that mistake. And so I think I can save you some of the trouble and some of the struggle by getting you, I think, tools that are better, at least tools that excite me more. And so I want to share that with you. So if you're not a psychopath like me, and you're a regular person, the normal path would be you go to Tecton Tools, or you go to the big box, you go to Lowe's or Home Depot and pick out your 189-piece set of, in the old days it was Craftsman. Now it would be Cobalt or Husky or something like that. You go to Harbor Freight and get yourself some Icon tools. And I don't think that's a terrible path, but I think we can get pretty close to that price point, but in German, Japanese, aspirational tools. And the only reason I think we can do that is because I've spent years, I think we're in the years in the time frame, and lots of money, lots and lots of trial and error to get you to a drawer like this, where we can start to narrow it down and at least get you started, because I found that heading down the ultimate path can be very cost prohibitive. So to get to the narrowed down space, and this is how my brain works, is I need to start from the catalog, a 300-page catalog, and then there are 300 different brands that you need to narrow it down. And so this is a lot like I was a financial advisor. I had to like narrow down all the different investments. Somebody has to pick what investment you're going to put your money in, and there are thousands and tens of thousands of choices. And the same thing with tools. We have to narrow it down. And so I had to start somewhere, and the place I started first was in foam. The problem with foam is that, especially the foam that I like, the Sonic stuff, you have to go with their ecosystem, and you may not like their tools. And so if we're going to do what I normally do, which is to go, let's call it bespoke, if you want to curate and put together a sort of best-in-class set of tools and chip away at it, it becomes a bit daunting. For example, screwdrivers, there are several different brands. There are hundreds of brands of screwdrivers. I narrowed it down to 3 or 4 that I really liked. PB Swiss, Vera, Vessel. There's several other brands in there that I'm drawing a blank on. And I went with Vera, if you want to pronounce it properly. And, Vera has, 1,000 screwdrivers. I bought 500 and I think it was 517 of them, and took like a 22-foot long countertop. And so we start with all the brands. Then we go to narrow it down to the catalog of that brand, then narrow it down to the 3 or 4 brands, and then narrow it down to the 1,000 screwdrivers that they have. Then from there, we narrow it down to which ones am I going to buy, and I bought 500 of them. And then from there, we get down to, what do I not like, and what do I do like, and then you just keep narrowing it down until we get to this. That's the hope. And so we get to a palatable place, because I will tell you, Knipex, Wera, Stahlvilla, Koken, all these different brands that I've settled on, that I fell in love with, and I put together my own sort of Mormon master collection, and it ended up being like $70,000, which is unattainable, unrealistic. And so I wanted to figure out, well, of that, how much redundancy is there? Which tools do you want? And so we've narrowed that down to a place where you can start. And then it becomes very palatable. I'm going to share with you some of the prices and some of how this is set up in 2025 values. But we can get down to a place to where we can make tools and you can get some of the best tools in the world. These are my favorite tools. We can get you down to narrow it down to what you need, and then you can build from there. And that's what I'm hoping to accomplish. So this has been an existential crisis for me. It shouldn't be, but it's been for my entire life. And so picture me having 517 screwdrivers after walking around with the catalog. And I'm telling you, I took the catalog to the bathroom with me. I took the catalog on the airplane with me. I took the catalog everywhere I went. It kind of went in my back pocket. But I had to force myself to narrow it down to, say, 100. And then from there down to 70. And then from there down to, what do you actually need? What is the kit? How much do you need? And that $70,000 spreadsheeted exercise helped me understand, you know, what do I want, what do I desire versus what do I actually need. I'm doing it because I'm born to do that and fit myself in that middle spot to narrow it down to this. So the classic simple starter for tools would be, you need an essential set of screwdrivers. I don't care if you're working on cars, you're living life, you need screwdrivers. And so we'll use this as an example. Started with 517 screwdrivers after we went through the catalog, and we end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are, I would argue, some of the nicest screwdrivers on the planet. They're my favorite. You know, you could argue back and forth on maybe there's some ones that are a little bit more precise, but I like these. I like the handles, I like the fit, I like the finish. You need straight blades, you need Phillips, and you need big and small. And so when we narrow it down to this small grouping of screwdrivers, I think that every person, man, woman, child, should have a decent set of Phillips and flathead or straight blade screwdrivers in their life. And then from there you can decide to build, and so you may want a strike-through set, ones that has you know, or that the shaft goes through the handle where you could hammer on it. Some long reach stuff if you're working on things where you find that you need longer screwdrivers. And then you add on a nice to have, a micro screwdriver set. This comes in handy if your glasses need repair or you need to change your SIM card in your cell phone. You know, having something like that is a nice to have. And then ultimately, you would want a bit set where you could use, you know, sort of the ratcheting style, T-handle style setup where you have some Hazette bits combined with some of the sort of best of breed from Wera, and you can use this on your impact or your drill as well. But if I had this, that's the question I was hoping to answer. I feel like I could solve any problem I would need in my house, on my car, in my garage. So screwdrivers were hard for me to give up 1 or 2 or 3 and to narrow it down. It was hard for me to get rid of because I loved seeing them all. Pliers were much, much harder to figure out where to even start. And I spent a lot longer time figuring out pliers. The other issue with me in pliers is it cost a whole lot more money. I bought, you know, tens of thousands of dollars of just the one brand Knipex, and you do say it, you do pronounce the K from what I understand. You could say Knipex, you know, but Knipex is how they pronounce it here in the US. And so, for example, you start with a standard plier set. And so these are lineman type pliers, you know, flat nose type pliers. It's $218.90 for a base kit. Add in the D-nib set, which you'll probably use more than anything to D-nib your tires and use for precision wire cutting. Put in your needle nose type, and actually there's one here that I'm missing that I just ordered, and then your cutters, and so your diagonal cutters, your flush cutters, and so I found this to be really difficult to narrow down to which version do you want, and so we've narrowed this to again bite-sized, palatable subsections where you have 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of pliers, cutters, you know, the things that you might need in order to do, you know, work around your house. So the next type of tools I think you should consider, especially if you're working on vehicles, would be to get into wrenches. Start with screwdrivers, then go to your pliers and cutters, and then we get into wrenches. So the way that I think about wrenches, you have regular SAE and metric, you have regular ratcheting, you have short or micro ratcheting, and then you have your long reach ratcheting. I think this is a luxury, the longer handled version, but if you had a combination of these and with a couple of ratcheting wrenches, you could accomplish anything you would need in the garage. So you're probably wondering how I made it this far in the video without addressing the elephant in the drawer here, and that's the organization system. Now, don't judge me on how I set this up. I set this up here so people could come in and see the packages separately. Normally I wouldn't waste this space in every drawer. But this is an organization system called Tool Grid. And this is an add-on. You can add on, we make sure you get the right tip. But Tool Grid is an organization system that's modular. So as you start to build your tool collection, you can move it around. And the way that it works is you have a 6-inch by 6-inch board that you cut to fit. And then we have all the different type of accessories that hold your tools in place. Tool Grid is an awesome solution for any of your tool choice, especially those of you that are building your collection and upgrading. Get all of your tools that you currently have gridded, and then you're not locked in. You can adjust as you follow me on this journey of choosing tools and upgrading your setup. So I can never decide, do I like foam better or do I like Tool Grid better? Do I like bespoke better or do I like an all-in-one system or setup? If you're not interested in spending dozens and dozens and dozens of hours organizing your tools, you want to order it and stick it in your drawer, I cannot recommend this more. This is another option for you. I can't make the decision. I want both in my life. Here at HQ, I have all sonic and foam inlays. At home, I have all the bespoke stuff that we're talking about here in this video. But if you're busy, you're not a super organized person, you don't enjoy sitting in your garage, tinkering with tools, you want to just use them, I would highly recommend considering this drawer. Took me about 12.5 seconds to set up versus 2 weekends on my 1/2-inch drawer with Tool Grid. So go to obsessedgarage.com. I'll help you figure out which one of these to buy because Sonic has a lot of different choice. I've narrowed it down to the one you'll want, so make sure to go check it out. So those of you real men out there watching this, remember, I'm in my showroom here. This is where customers come in and they get to touch and feel and see stuff at my headquarters where we pack and ship stuff. These tools are getting used very lightly. This is to show people and to video and to show you what you could do. But my job here, I think, is to simplify this for you, to save you money, save you time, get you to the ultimate setup as quickly and as early in your life as possible. And so that's what I'm hoping to accomplish here by offering you solutions for organizing it, offering you solutions for choosing the tools. I want to save you the pain of that. The other thing I learned, and I've learned this lesson for pretty much everything that I've sold over the last decade, most of the stuff that I'm interested in isn't available. Like, they don't have it in stock. Half the time it's not here in the US. They may advertise it or they may say it's available, but when it's time to actually buy it, I oftentimes have to wait months and months. So what I'm working toward is to make sure, like right now as we speak, we have 14 sets of the base Wera screwdriver set. We have 8 sets of the strike-through kit. When I first started doing this and I launched all the different tool packages, nothing was in stock and nothing was available. And so making you aware of it is step one. Step two is making the company aware that this is what you and I want is step two. And then step three is making sure that I have it in stock and available for you to make it easy. I want to save you time. I want to save you money. I want to save you mistakes. You don't have to make the mistakes that I've made because I'm kind of born to do this organization and chase. I'll let you use the tools. I'll use them sometimes, but my job, again, is to be that sort of in-between person to help the engineers who made the great tools and sort of in between you and that engineer and find the best stuff and narrow it down so that you get the right things. That's what I'm hoping to accomplish. Yep. So go to obsessedgarage.com. More to come. So next up will likely be, let's see, we've got, we've got the, vice grip type grip-on things. We've got the hammers to work on. I've got to work on the juggernaut, which is Coke and Hazette. We're in the ratcheting world because my ratcheting drawers are like $12,000 worth of stuff. I need to narrow those down. So more to come. Go to obsessedgarage.com and get the stuff you need. And we narrowed it down, and it'll tell you what the stock is underneath the item. If it's not in stock, don't be afraid to buy we always have stuff coming in. A lot of the stuff that's coming from Japan and Germany and overseas becomes difficult to procure. If you do lock your spot in line, it'll make sure that the second it comes in that we ship it out. So don't be afraid to do that, especially you're buying these for the rest of your life. Pretty much all this stuff has a lifetime warranty. You've waited this long. I think we should all be patient. It's taken me a lot of patience because as I've ordered this stuff, most of it wasn't available and they would just kind of trickle in over time. So I'm hoping to narrow that down for you. But go to obsessedgarage.com, click the links in the description, and stay tuned over 2026 as we build out all the essentials kits of all the things I think you need. And then before you know it, your drawers are going to look nice and dialed like mine, or maybe even like the drawers at my house down in Middleton. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. As always, stay tuned for more crazy. I love tools more than I should. I don't like using them. I like organizing them. But hey, we all have our place in life. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.